called Ounce of Prevention. That became a 30-minute television show, and that was distributed around the world.
You know, kids, the kitchen ain't a playground. There's a lot of danger hiding in here.
What do you mean, Buzz?
I mean, there's a lot of things in here that can burn you.
He was just a very giving person. That was part of his nature.
Oh, whatever.
He devoted a lot of time on burn units, children. And I think he really had a great effect in doing so. Even if it made him feel better for just a minute, he did. He had to try to get him to leave, personally. I mean, he would spend all day doing it. I mean, there would be times I would say, Mel, I'm gonna go. It's getting dark, I gotta get back on the road. Or Noel would do that. I mean, he was tireless. I mean, the man was like the Energizer Bunny. And when there were children, in that situation, you couldn't get him to walk away.
If I saw a person smile, that to me was payment themselves. And if I could make them laugh when they had been very sad, it was great payment to me.
Thanks, Jennifer, for helping us tell the story.
Thank you, Buzz.
Say that again.
Sorry, of course. I sound like you. It comes out of your offspring.
Offspring.
Yes, right, Doc. Hey, that's right. You don't like a rabbit. That's right, Doc. Hey, that's pretty good. I'm suing you.
Noel Blanc remained at his father's side throughout the 60s, and together they formed Mel Blanc Associates. This was in part to develop better product for commercial advertisers, but more importantly, to expand opportunities that would benefit Mel's career and the careers of other up-and-coming voiceover talents.
My dad and I worked together for about 35 years. He took my direction, strangely. But I didn't ever try to outthink him, because he always knew what he had to do.
I understood that it's time before you go to and that is right back here.
Noel was really a very good director, really capable of getting the best out of performers, and mechanically really adept at cutting the tape, putting together the packages. So it was a perfect mix.
I would say that was one of the greatest things that ever happened to Mel, because I felt that Mel, through his early years, was taken advantage of. And then as time left, and Noel got in the business, he had somebody there that really took care of him.
Mel and Estelle enjoyed their autumn years together, preferring a quieter lifestyle than most celebrities. It had been nearly 20 years since the Jack Benny Show was on the air, and people had forgotten the face behind the famous voice. That is, until a certain commercial aired in 1982.
Do you know me? I think Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck their voices, but no one knows me. It's just remarkable. So now I travel with the American Express card.
And this round old man suddenly said, he's the guy. So he gained a whole new generation of people just from one powerful TV commercial, which went international.
With it, we would always draw a blank.
He took theatrical feature Roger Rabbit in '88. He was still doing work for Warner Brothers in their merchandising division. Financially, he may well have been able to retire, but it's still what he said back in high school. I just like to make people laugh. And he needed to do that. And he needed to keep working.
He always wanted to be working. I mean, it was just part of who he was. I don't think I felt like work to him at all. It seemed so easy. And it just rolled for him. And he always was in between takes, laughing and cracking jokes, whatever. And no, I don't think it was work for him. I think it was second nature.
I just love it. I love my work, which I think everybody should love before they do. Before they go to work, they should know what they're going to do or don't take the job. And I love my work, and although it was a hard time getting into it, that's worked out beautifully for me. Involves you with the 80, and I make it private. How do you do that? And then it comes through the
Mel Blanc happens to be a great actor.
I'm happy to be here to celebrate his 80th birthday. Because Tom Blank was a great human being. Wish you a happy birthday.
That's one of the things that was beautiful about Mel, because he never thought about himself as an icon in the business, although I'm sure he wasn't a fool. He knew how great he was. He knew he was exceptional. But he always approached every job as an opportunity to do something really good and new. And not just because he was Mel Blanc. And so you didn't get any of the star treatment nonsense or any of the prima donna aspects of things. And for that reason, too, he was working almost to the day he died.
Mel was a tireless actor. Whenever his voice was needed, be it in Daffy Duck's Quackbusters or the Jetsons' feature film, Mel Blanc was committed to his characters. In July 1989, when Mel agreed to star in a new commercial for Oldsmobile, neither he nor Noel would realize that this would be his final performance.
Is that any good?
We are the new generation of O's?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We're the new generation of O's.
The director there is out pulling his hair, but we're going to do this commercial anyhow.
What hair?
Oh, it's that one. It's not the art director. Well, how would you somebody say this?
We are the new generation of O's.
Look at the dealer right there and talk to him.
We are the new generation of
Now you
O's.
heard that, you better believe it. We are, and we're going to try to do this commercial, but it's tough. Anyway, we got this
Don't be so simple. On 27 hours.
We had shot the Oldsmobile commercial all day. It's not your father's Oldsmobile. And I said, Dad, you're coughing a little bit. Why don't you go to the doctor and get your lungs cleared out? The doctor called me and said, yeah, Mel's over here. I had to shoot the tail end of the commercial. So I was still on the commercial, and my dad went over to see the doctor. He was through. And the doctor said, well, I can keep him in the hospital overnight, or just give him an inhaler to cough and get the cough out of him. My dad said, no, let's stay in the hospital overnight. It was a mistake, of course. He fell out of bed. He forgot to put the bed rails up. He broke his femur, got fed antibiotic into the brain, and was basically gone in 48 hours. He was still at the height of his career. He could still do all the voices that he could before, and he was still really terrific. Mel always used to say, when I buy the farm, or when I, catch it, he says, I'll go when I go. He never worried about death.
The man who was the voice of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and hundreds of other cartoon characters has died in Los Angeles. Mel Blanc was 81. Here's ABC's Jerry Sheffield.
It's a terrible, terrible feeling to the world, and certainly people in our country that I know of. There was so much commentary about when Mel passed away. Warner Brothers did a marvelous big picture showing all the characters being so sad because Mel was gone. The captions said, "Speechless." And certainly the world did lose somebody wonderful when he passed away.
People felt really bad that he had passed away, but because of his public persona and what he gave to people and how he really made people laugh, there was this sadness mixed with a kind of appreciation and love and celebration.
Wait. Hello, monitoring. I have a telephone, but now it's gone. Blank.
Mel Blanc has been known for decades as the man of 1,000 voices. But he was much more than that.
Busty. Oh, brother.
His body of work spans more than 1,000 cartoon performances alone. His work in radio, television, film, and commercials is still being discovered every day. He is one of the pillars of entertainment, an artist whose skills were so versatile that he couldn't be defined, an actor whose talents can still be marveled at today.
I crashed the recording session when I was 14. I called him up at home, and during the course of the conversation, I found out where he was working that week. And and I crashed the session. I told the receptionist that we were guests of Mel Blanc, and I told his producer that we were friends of the receptionist. And I watched him work, and I'm looking through that glass at the studio, and he's just sitting on a chair very much like this in a double-breasted suit. And watching him be Porky Pig, it was like if a kid's idol growing up was Hank Aaron, it was seeing Hank Aaron work. You know, it was watching my idol work. He was amazing. He was just incredible.
It was like that painting, you know, like God is reaching down like this and man is like this, and they're trying to find that differential. That was what it was like seeing him. You know, it's like this guy isn't of this earth.
Voice actors nowadays really worship what he did. I can understand that because he had it all. And he was the first.
He truly was a pioneer, and as I say, the first multi-voice person, and still in many ways has never been topped. That's how good he was, without even knowing why he was good.
He was a unique, marvelous, one of a kind voice artist.
The top voice in the history of animation, no doubt about it. And every character will be known forever.
Nobody will ever top him. Now, the best they can do is imitate him.
It is an extraordinary career, and strangely as I still can't put a face to it. You think of the voices. Lon Chaney was the man of 1,000 faces. Bill Blanc, the man of 1,000 voices.
20th century communications, the era that produced so many remarkable performers. Mel Blanc has to be, as far as Americans are concerned, he has to be in the top 5 of all-time actors if you really want to sit down and think about it.
Let's take a cartoon that's on, or an animated feature or something, the characters that are playing the main characters, the stars of today, and listening to them, watch the film and say, geez, that was really great. Play a clip of Mel Blanc. They see the difference. See the difference.
My dad's legacy is laughter. He wanted to make people feel good and laugh out loud. The thing I miss most about my dad is my dad and his personality, being the great father, listening to me, never doubting me, asking good questions, being great to my mom. The fact that he was such a marvelous human being, not only to the world, but to his family, that's what I remember.
Well, the contribution that will always survive, because young people who are not warriors will be enjoying the work that Mel Blanc has done.
I can turn his voice on any time and see one of the cartoons, so I can really bring him back to life at any time I want to. I hear his voice every day.
Relax and quiet, the doctors all say is good for your condition. But how can you relax and be quiet when there goes the ignition?
Big Bear Lake with the motorboats a button. Big Bear Lake, there a buzzing and a button. Big Bear Lake with the motorboats a button. Button all day, button all day, button all day.
That's all, folks.
Coming up.
Chicago, more than any other city in America, truly embodies our nation's sweet tooth.
And really, who doesn't like eating candy? I mean, think about it.
Candy, crafted with love and an abundance of sugar, is more than just a treat. Candy won wars, built empires, and for nearly a century, it all came from Chicago, America's candy capital.
Chicago became the melting pot of candy.
Chicago candy makers created some of the juiciest, stickiest, crunchiest, and most famous confections the world had ever seen.
When it's good, it's good. If you're talking about Mars and Curtis and Brock's, that's as big as it gets. Chicago had everything that was needed to make this industry explode.
But an unexpected danger threatened the industry for survival.
You could be crushed overnight.
Tragically, you start to see a lot of great Chicago candy companies disappearing. Don't always be fooled by the sweet image, right? There can be a real shrewdness in the candy business.
The Candy Capital. Next on Chicago Stories.
Lead support for Chicago Stories is provided by the Nagani Foundation. Major support is provided by the Elizabeth Morse Genius Charitable Trust, the Tawani Foundation, on behalf of the Pritzker Military Museum and Library, and the Donna Van Eckeren Foundation. Funding for Chicago Stories, Candy Capital, is provided by ComEd.
Walking into Margie's Candies on Chicago's North Side is like stepping back in time. In the dining room, customers indulge in a delightful old-fashioned favorites. But it's the kitchen where the old world truly comes to life, as each candy is lovingly crafted by hand.
I'm making caramel. After the caramel, we dip it with chocolate, either dark or milk. Everything we make here is homemade, and we do it every day.
So if we're going back to the turn of the century here in Chicago and visualizing the candy industry, you didn't have a lot of tools or technology to help. It wasn't just pushing a button, it was laborious work. Early candy making is so exciting to me because it's the hand expression of love.
I really enjoy to make that caramel. I love it. I like to hear when people say your caramel is very good. When people is happy, of course, it made me happy.
Margie's has been in the business of keeping people happy since 1921, when Greek immigrant Peter Poulos scraped together savings from shining shoes to open a sweets shop. When his son George took the reins, he renamed it after his sweetheart, Margie. 100 years later, the Poulos family is still serving up treats and nostalgia by hand. In the late 19th century, waves of European immigrants, like Peter Poulos, came to the United States, risking everything for a chance to rewrite their family's future.
An experience like that, it's just unbelievable that people were deciding that there is this country, we don't have to be impoverished for all the generations.
And some were candy makers who made their way to Chicago with nothing but a suitcase, a recipe from their homeland, and a dream.
These confectioners didn't only bring their ingredients and their know-how, they brought their culture. They brought their history. That's reflected in the candy. I mean, literally, the copper pot becomes the melting pot of candy. The Germans had a methodology for spinning sugar into cotton candy. And the Italians brought what we call panning drums. So those are the drums that make Jordan almonds. That's a purely Italian thing. Nougat from France, hard candy from England. You've got all kinds of immigrants who built enormous fortunes in the candy industry. And it tells you a lot about Chicago.
Fortune would eventually come for some, but the building of Chicago's candy empire started at home, in the family kitchen.
In candy, anybody who had access to a stove and a recipe could start a business. I mean, that is the ultimate mom and pop.
The woman would have a kettle there where she's processing chocolate, and the little kids are running around it. You can see they don't have to pay for babysitters that way.
Candy as a business didn't require a huge amount of startup capital. You can start with a good recipe and a kitchen, and a lot of the great Chicago candy makers did. Great example being Ferrara Pan Candy Company.
Today, Ferrara is universally known for iconic candies like Lemon Heads, Red Hots, Laffy Taffy, and Trolley Gummies. But this billion-dollar empire of sweets all started with one man's desperate journey.
My great-grandfather, Salvatore Ferraro, migrated here in the late 1800s, and he came to this country with literally nothing. I can only imagine what it was like.
At 17 years old, Salvatore Ferrara taught himself English, then found work as an interpreter with the Santa Fe Railroad.
Through that, he ended up saving enough money and started a bakery with his brother Giovanni and his brother-in-law Salvatore Lezza. They had so much pride. They all dressed with dress shirts and ties, and then they had on an apron that made them look businessmen, but yet getting their hands dirty in a bakery. Think about that, making cakes, cookies, confetti, which is the sugar-coated almonds you could see at a wedding. And what happened was that started taking off, and they said, hey, we really can do something with this.
The confetti flew out the door, and with that, Ferrara Candy was born. The family shop became a staple in the rapidly growing Little Italy neighborhood. But the largest ethnic community in Chicago was the Germans. And their early forays into confections paved the way for Emil J. Brock.
He was a very typical candy story in that there's a number of candy makers who started out as traveling salesmen, but were really wanting to branch out on their own.
After years of pounding the pavement, selling candy for other vendors, 45-year-old Emil Brock rolled the dice. He invested his last dollars in himself and in the Brock name.
He managed to scrape together $1,000 and told his wife, I'm starting a candy company. And I'm sure she thought, you're going to invest all this money in a candy store. I love the name. It was Brock's Palace of Sweets. And it was located on North Avenue, which is right on the edge of the enormous German-American district in Chicago. Brock's used to have to print on their wrappers